when you talk about the poor white people,
Yes.
if they were looking for a place to go and they couldn't get to the Witwatersrand, they didn't have very many options, did they?
No, I think most people went to these to the Witwatersrand because that was basically one of the only few economic centers that there was money in order to get a job, and that was on the gold mine. Some people went to Kimberley, but a lot less. But any case, the bigger point I wanted to make was it was first white people that moved there to start working on the mines. Then the mining companies saw that the black people were willing to work for even less. So they
Yeah.
were not very, they were very, very, very few black people living in the old capitals of the Transvaal Republic before the Union of South Africa. It was basically all white cities. The old Boer republics were majority white. Most black people, the vast majority of black people, um, in that time still lived in parts of the Eastern Cape and Natal of today. And then these mining companies would actively incentivize getting all these black men out of their communities in Zululand and putting them in the mining settlements or the townships and close to the mine so that they can exploit them for cheap labor. Same thing with the Transkei, same thing with basically all the different black
Yeah.
areas that existed back before the Union of South Africa. And then what this caused was that you basically had a completely unsegregated slum of dirt poor people, and them being white, black, even some coloreds, even some Indians that were taken from it all, and they were all just basically put there in a slum that was for the poor people that had no money to actually afford an actual house. And
Mhm.
the white people that were the descendants of the Boer people that were living there come from an extremely high trust society. They come from a society within the Boer republics where crime was virtually non-existent. It's just not a concept that they knew. And now they are sitting in the slums, and the first big issue that they run into is a massive crime rate, especially petty crime. Like you can't even leave your stuff unattended because then it will get stolen. There's also an epidemic of violent crime within these slums. Not as bad as the petty crime, or not as numerous as the petty crimes, but violent crime also suddenly exists here. And these families started uprising and saying, no, we're not going to take it. We want apartheid. We want separateness. We don't want to live with these people because they are stealing our stuff. They are sexually assaulting our daughters, etc., etc. And that was the main driving force behind why apartheid was later introduced. The other main driving force came in the 1920s, about a decade later. Then they started complaining about the crime issue. They started complaining about the wage issue. They started complaining about the fact that more and more black people were almost imported from Zululand and from the Transkei and wherever to the mines in order to drive down their wages. And then the South African Communist Party, which was then still a white nationalist party, had an uprising with all of these signs that said, "White workers of the world unite," and "Workers of the world unite for a white South Africa." Like it was almost equally as white centered as it was communism centered. Then, of course, Jan Smuts. The uprisings got so bad that Jan Smuts actually sent in the Air Force to drop bombs on these white protesters, and that was basically the end of the Smuts regime, because that basically made him lose all popularity amongst all white people from all creeds and all social classes. They just said, this is inhumane, you can't do this. Like, imagine a
Mm.
leader today would do that. Say, there's a bunch of mine workers striking and you send in the Air Force and drop some bombs on them. Like, it's unthinkable in today's zeitgeist. But any case, so then Jan Smuts was basically he became too unpopular to be elected again, and they elected General Barry Hertzog, which was then he didn't win a majority of the vote, so he had to actually take hands with the Communist Party. And for a
Oh,
brief
wow.
period of time, we had the coalition between the Afrikaner nationalists and the communists who ruled South Africa. And they basically introduced apartheid. And they also introduced many laws that was, sort of minimum wages and fixed wages for different jobs. And then also the white nationalism part came in, which said certain jobs should be reserved for certain demographics, etc., etc.